as you probably saw in the title, today I'm going to make a video on how I got 43 points in the IB. So basically I'm going to be giving you guys advice and tips. I've had quite a few people on Tumblr ask me about this. So for example, I had someone ask, if I can find it, "Oh my god, you got 43 in the IB, how did you do it? Could you give us advice or tips on how you did so well?" So basically I'm going to divide this video into 10 main tips. So let's get right into it. The first tip that I'm giving you guys is that you have to do your research before you start the IB. Make sure you're taking the right subjects. You'll find that often universities care more about the overall grade rather than the subject specifically. Obviously this depends, but this is just the trend that I've been seeing. But most importantly, make sure you take subjects that you are both interested in and that you're good at. So I know people who did subjects like HL chemistry and they loathed every single second of it. Guys, don't do that. It's a really bad idea. If you don't like something, don't do it because you're stuck with it for 2 years and it's not fun if you have to do it. And you have a lot of people who do subjects they don't like because their parents want them to do it, or they think that universities will take them more seriously if they do. But I'm here to tell you that it's honestly not worth it. It will not benefit you in any way. You are much better off doing something like biology, which is a bit easier than chemistry, that depends, and getting a decent grade than doing chemistry and getting a 3. So make sure you choose that right. And also make sure you know what universities you're thinking of going to. It doesn't hurt you to call them up. I did so when I was in my first year of IB. I called up a few universities and asked them what they wanted. It's not as daunting as it might sound. It's actually really helpful and everyone's really nice on the phone. I think I talked about this in a video that I've done before. But definitely try doing that because it really genuinely helps. My second tip is to do your work in advance. So when I mean work, I am talking about IAs and your extended essay mostly. Basically, a lot of people say you have to revise early on, and that is true, but for me, I find it more useful to study before the exams, because if I study 5 months, 6 months before the exams, I won't really remember what I've studied. So I tend to do the work where you have to write essays, or it's work that you can genuinely get done and get out of the way first. And then you have a lot of time to study for your exams. So I finished my maths IA in the first year, and doing things early on just takes off so much weight off your shoulders and lets you concentrate on things like studying for exams. So I really recommend that you do that. And also start thinking about what you want to do for your extended essay way before you start the IB. Look at what interests you and really get going and try and finish it in your first year. It's easier said than done, but believe me when I say, you will love yourself for doing that in the future. My third tip is to stay organized. It seems like a little tip and quite generic, but it is really, really important. You have to understand that the IB is a 2-year course, and what you study in your first week of the IB might end up on the exam. So when you take notes in class, make sure you keep everything together, keep files, different subjects should have different folders. Obviously this depends on what works best for you, but know what works best for you and keep all your notes organized, all your work organized, handouts that your teachers give you. Teachers don't give you work just because they enjoy it. They give it to you most of the time because it is actually useful. So make sure you don't lose things and just keep random sheets in your bag or your laptop case. I know I did that from time to time, but I would spend about an hour once a week just organizing my notes, making sure everything's together. So I definitely recommend doing that. Next, organize your time as well. So what's difficult about the IB isn't necessarily the level of the work, but the volume of work. I mean, the amount of work you have in the IB is crazy, so it's really important that you make sure you don't just procrastinate everything and that you start your work early in advance. And what really helps to keep up with the dates and everything is to have a planner. If you don't have a planner when you're taking the IB, honestly that is such a bad idea. You have to have a planner. It's the best way to stay on track and to stay on top of things. I mean, I think like 80% of the people at my old school didn't have a planner, which I found so weird. But you'll see that the people who get good grades are the ones who keep everything nicely and organized. So for example, the planner that I'm using this year is this one by Typo. What I really like about it is that it has both monthly overviews and weekly overviews. So I'll give you guys an example if I can find one. There we go. So as you see here, it's a monthly overview. So it works kind of like a calendar in that way. And then afterwards you have the weekly views. So I don't know if you can see. But in general, it's a super efficient planner, but anyone in general should do. As I said before, just know what works best for you. My fourth tip is to study the syllabus. So this syllabus is your best friend in the IB. This is especially true for subjects like biology, mathematics, where there are really set outcomes and it tells you very specifically what you need to learn. So to be honest, the main reasons why I got 7s in biology and maths is because all I did was study the syllabus head to toe. I knew it inside out and nothing on the exam was not on the syllabus, if that makes sense. So just know your syllabus really well. Your teacher should have a copy of the syllabus, otherwise you can find them online. I actually heard that they're not really online anymore and that you have to pay for them, but your teacher should definitely have a copy. So yeah, I would suggest relying more on the syllabus than the textbook. A lot of people just study off the textbook. It's great, but a lot of the time they just give you a lot of redundant information that you don't need to know, whilst the syllabus is very clear with its outcomes, and if you know what it says, then you're good to go. Number 5 is to get feedback from teachers. So your teachers are there for a reason. Really make use of them, you know. They're there for you to learn, for you to understand the material better. You know, if you're struggling in class, just after class go up to them and ask them to clarify things. Most of the time, teachers are more than happy to help you and they want to see you improve. The best way for you to improve is when you get work back, look at the corrections and, you know, ask the teacher, make sure you've got, you know where you went wrong, and that is fundamentally the best way you can improve, just seeing where you go wrong and working on that. The 6th tip is to know how to take an exam. Seems quite straightforward, but will go a long way. So the IB has a certain way they want you to answer questions, so make sure you know what that is. Also, it's super important that you do practice papers. One of the best ways to get good grades on exams is to do the exam itself. Look on extremepapers.com, they have exam papers, and I've also seen quite a few Reddit threads that have exam papers from a long time ago. So I'll see if I can find them. I'll put them into the description box below, but definitely check them out. You know, for biology, I did so many exam papers, and it's really good to see yourself gradually improve as you do more and more and more. And once you go into the exam room, you'll know exactly what to expect, and you'll walk in that exam room with confidence, whilst everyone will have massive bags under their eyes downing that 10th cup of coffee because they stayed up all night studying some part of the syllabus that they might not even find on the exam itself. So make sure you're the other person. My 7th, I can't say 7 today, 7th tip is to study smartly. So basically know what works best for you. I recently did a video on visual learners and the best study methods for visual learners, so check that out if you are a visual learner. I'll put the link, put it up here somewhere. And make sure you're not passively studying. Make sure you're not just, you know, rewriting notes or doing that kind of thing. Make sure that most of the studying you're doing is very proactive and that you are getting information in your brain. Get rid of distractions. Don't do 2 things at the same time. Guys, don't half-ass anything. Always use your full ass, as I say. You can get apps like Promodo. I've heard of people using that. I haven't, but apparently it's very good. And then just generally you can get extensions on Google Chrome which will block websites, so you can't use Facebook more than 20 minutes a day, or Tumblr, or wherever you waste your time. So try those out and make sure you don't get distracted and be fully in your work when you study. That is genuinely and honestly the best way to study. And the 8th tip is to stay healthy. So this means exercise, nutrition, sleep, and there's one more. Social life. Yeah, social life, that's right. So, okay, exercise, quite straightforward, but, you know, oxygenate the brain. The best ways to, you know, be the most awake when you're studying is to do exercise, to stay healthy. Don't eat crap every day, and sleep a good, at least, I'll be realistic, but at least 6 to 7 hours. People say 8 hours, but sometimes it's not that easy. But definitely try going to bed before midnight. If you have a good sleep schedule and you go to bed at, you know, at 10:30, that is great. I applaud you so much. I didn't do that because I'm someone who just doesn't like sleeping in general at night. But it is really good to have a consistent sleeping pattern. Then I said social life. You know, the last years of school are years that you won't relive in your life again. Generally try and go out and go party from time to time. Don't make sure that doesn't override your actual schoolwork, but make sure you don't neglect your social life altogether. It is really important. The 9th tip isn't really, I don't know if it's really a tip, but it's really to treat the IB like a full-time job. After all, you are a full-time student, and that's why you should be treating it like a job. Have a schedule, stick to it, and do what you have to do. At the end of the day, your IB is really important. It will play a huge role in your future, as much as you wouldn't like to think about it, but it does. So you have to make sure you're putting your best efforts in there. And this kind of ties into my 10th point, and that is to set yourself goals. So, be ambitious. Try and aim for the highest you can. If that's aiming for a 45, go for it, I mean, for me, I never even aimed for a 40. I don't know, I remember one day someone asking me, oh, what are your goals? What do you want to aim in the IB? And I was like, I don't know, like 37, 38. And they're like, what? No, you should really try more. And then I was like, you know what? I should. And then I aimed for a 40, and I ended up getting way better than I thought I would. So if you just be ambitious but realistic at the same time. I do want to point out that a 37, a 36, those are really, really good scores. Don't get down because you didn't do better than, the top 2%. You really have to know your level and know that if you're working super hard and getting 37s, 38s, that is amazing. That is so, so good. So, keep up the good work and make sure that you're competing against yourself and not others. Make sure you're always trying to improve yourself, but not feeling like you're trying to do better than everyone else. And I think that's something really important to learn as well. So yes, be ambitious, set goals and work hard for them every day. A big step that people often forget is not just setting the goals, but organizing yourself to know how you're going to achieve that goal. So make sure you know how. Is it by studying every day? Is it by, doing your best, listening in class, not skipping classes? Know what that is and then try and achieve them and do your best. And something else which, I don't know, I wasn't going to talk about originally, but luck is actually plays a huge role in your final IB score. Because sometimes you'll just be lucky. Sometimes you'll get a topic that you know a lot about, and other times you'll just get something that I guess you know, but it's just not what you're really good at. So make sure you maximize your chances of luck as much as you can. And yeah, that's basically the 10 points. Otherwise, things that I want to say in addition, back your work up. Oh my god, this is so important. I have one actually. Oh, might as well show you guys. This is my hard drive. It's 1 terabyte, I think. I've had people lose their extended essay, so 2 years worth of work, just like that. I keep everything on a hard drive. But my last overall advice, which isn't part of the 10 pieces of advice, but is just something that I really, really want to stress, is that your mental health is a lot more important than your IB. If you're having problems and you're suffering from anxiety or something and you can't do what you're doing, take care of yourself. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The IB, anything, should never take precedence over your health. And I just think this is so important to say and really not given enough attention. If you need to take a day off school because you're just not feeling it, you'll get those days. And obviously you don't want to make this a consistent thing, but you're dying and you're stressed out, take a day off. It's not going to kill you. You'll be able to catch up. But yeah, basically those were my 10 main tips on how to do well in the IB and how I got a 43. So I followed the vast majority of those tips. I added things in there which would have helped me a lot if I did. But that's basically how I got a 43. Hard work and a bit of luck. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you guys later. Bye!